Salutations, everybody! It's your host of the Storyfuel Podcast, Senor here, and welcome back to Storyfuel Podcast, where every story matters. As you see, we are live over here on Twitch, which you can find at twitch.tv/The Storyfuel Podcast. I will leave the link to the channel in the description down below so that you will be able for you all to follow me here on Twitch, and also subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Oh boy, I am excited for this episode. This episode, we're going to talk about Star Wars Animated Peak. What do you mean by animated peak? Well, we're going to talk about Star Wars, its impact on me as a young adult, and we're going to talk about the two animated series, or I should say the three animated series, but right now I have it at two here in front of me. And oh boy, it's like, hold on, let's add, let's put the schedule here. No. This is Monday to Saturday at 4:30 p.m. GMT. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go ahead and be a part of the Storyfuel Podcast, don't hesitate to drop a follow down below, and the schedule is like that. Monday to Saturday at 4:30 in the afternoon, Philippine time. GMT was 8. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into the episode. So let's go ahead and do this awesome transition. And let's go ahead and open this sucker up. Let's see. Nice. Well, shoot. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. Pardon the interruption here. Shoot. Alright, so let's do this stage. And as you can tell by the title here, let's talk about what made a show special, with the subheading or the subtitle, which is pertaining to Star Wars at its peak. Well, I should rename that, but I'm gonna do that afterwards. Star Wars Animated at its peak. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. We'll first discuss what do we mean by peak. P-A-A-K or P-E-A-K English. So peak is a term that kids would usually say whenever something comes out. But what exactly do we mean by peak? according to the dictionary, is a word that reads as follows. Peak is you have reached a highest point, either at a specified value or at a specified time. So that's basically what peak is. But I defined peak here as follows. In media, peak refers to a specific show, a movie, an anime, or a cartoon that is so good you just cannot ignore it. This is also called a timeless classic. That is what we are going to talk about today, a timeless classic of a show in Star Wars. But mainly the animated side of Star Wars for this particular video in this particular stream. Other words for the word of peak, we have the apex, zenith, highest echelon, or the climax. So basically what these words symbolize is that peak is a term that comprises anything that is so good that you want to rewatch over and over again ad nauseum, ad infinitum. Basically, whenever a show, a movie, an anime, or a cartoon is so good, even if it is from the past, you still wanna rewatch it. You still wanna re-experience that feeling. You basically reimagine the feeling. You restore the feeling of that show or anything like that again and again and again. That is what peak means. If I'm being honest. So that is what peak is. So now let's go ahead and talk about Star Wars. More specifically, let's talk about first the movies. Star Wars obviously is one of the most recognizable IPs, also known as intellectual properties, of all time. The best movies of all time spawned from this franchise. Best movies, more specifically, best movies that I have ever watched spawned from this franchise. The best movies, in my opinion anyway, of the Star Wars IP include the following. As I had explained earlier in the stream and now in this video, we have two trilogies that are peak in my humble opinion. We have the Star Wars prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. Obviously the prequel trilogy comprised Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Very good movies, timeless classics, or in this case, they are peak Star Wars movies. And then you have the original trilogy, which comprises of A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So those 6 movies, in my humble opinion, are peak Star Wars movies. The reason why that is because those movies have a sense of impact, a sense of dread, a sense of just unimaginable pain, suffering, and it brings a lot of emotions to the table, to the screen, that viewers, including myself, you have to acknowledge it. Like, seriously, these specific movies are peak for a reason. That's why I included them here in this PowerPoint presentation, because these movies, more specifically Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, those movies are perfect. Those movies are grandiose in its scope, and that's why I like them so much. That's why I consider them peak in my humble opinion. Now, let's move on to the animated shows of Star Wars. My favorite kind of shows, ones that are of a cartoon art style that keep the mature themes of the movies. Some of these shows include Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and Star Wars The Bad Batch. So, if you don't know, the third entry here, Star Wars The Bad Batch, to give you a little bit of a perspective as to what this show is, Star Wars The Bad Batch takes place immediately after the Clone Wars. So basically, this show takes place after, if you want to trace it down the canonical Star Wars timeline, this show, Star Wars The Bad Batch, takes place after Revenge of the Sith, wherein, if you don't remember the plot or the story of the Revenge of the Sith movie, let me give you a little bit of a teaser or a spoiler as to what this movie is. Revenge of the Sith is a movie that showcases the final years of the Clone Wars, which then led to Chancellor Palpatine become Emperor of the known galaxy after he basically dismantled the Jedi Order. And yeah, Star Wars The Bad Batch takes place during that timeline, during the events after Revenge of the Sith, and led to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, which is now part of the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. Star Wars Rebels also takes place after that movie, Revenge of the Sith, but it is more of a different canonical timeline than the one that we are used to in which. And obviously Star Wars The Clone Wars is a classic, it is a timeless classic for a reason, and we're going to dive deep into that show right now. So let's go ahead and talk about Star Wars The Clone Wars, obviously. Star Wars The Clone Wars takes place during the middle of Attack of the Clones, leading into Revenge of the Sith. For me, it is one of the best TV cartoon animated series that I have ever watched, no questions asked. If you want to ask me as to what show I would highly recommend to watch, this is one of them. Star Wars The Clone Wars is one of those shows that I would highly recommend. And we're going to talk about that at the end of the presentation. Alright? It features some of my favorite characters in all of media ever, which include the following. We have Anakin Skywalker, obviously the titular protagonist of Star Wars, aka the Chosen One. We have Ahsoka Tano, one of my favorite female heroines English of the show, and in general of the Star Wars IP. And then we have Captain Rex, which by the end of the series, Commander Rex. They have Obi-Wan Kenobi, the best friend of Anakin Skywalker, my favorite side protagonist. Then we have Count Dooku and General Grievous, my favorite villains/antagonists, and Chancellor Palpatine / Darth Sidious, my favorite hero slash villain. Obviously, y'all know how influential Chancellor Palpatine was during the early years and the beginning of the Clone Wars, up until his ascension into emperorship during Revenge of the Sith. Now under his Sith name known as Darth Sidious. By the way, Count Dooku's Sith name is Darth Tyrannus. For those of you who didn't watch the show. So that's basically what the synopsis or the short biography of Star Wars The Clone Wars is. So let's go ahead and talk about what made the show so peak. Well, let's go ahead and discuss that. Oh my goodness. We have a lot of bullet points here. Let's first talk about the first bullet point. The writing is absolutely perfect. And I agree. I have to agree with that. Because the reason why the show was so good, was so absolutely fantastic in its writing, basically the execution of the show is perfect. Because every episode, you either have a battle, an intense battle on the ground or in space, or you have a political battle on a planet. For much of the show, you have a conflict on all sides. You have conflict between the Republic and the Separatists, but then you have some mini side villains in the show. More specifically, you have the arc surrounding Mandalore. Yes, the arc surrounding Mandalore. It's Duchess Satine, and the planet's descent into madness. The planet's descent from a class people of tradition of being pacifists up until they return to the warrior ways of old. Yeah, that one was absolutely perfect. It was absolutely perfect, if I am being honest. Number 2, we bore witness to some epic battles in the series. I already mentioned some of the epic battles in the series, but to break it all down, we have the Siege of Mandalore, which took place during the finale season 7 of Star Wars Clone Wars. Then you have the Battle of Ryloth, which concluded Season 1 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Then you have the Battle of Felucia, which started Season 2. Then you had some very good episodes regarding Mandalore, like I said, during the middle portion of Season 2. More specifically in the episodes Voyage of Temptation, up until Duchess of Mandalore, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just gonna go ahead and edit the episode titles here so that you may want to watch it yourselves. And yeah, those are, in my opinion, on the top of my head, some of the most epic battles in that series. Third is incredible voice acting. Yes, I have to admit, the voice acting for the show was absolute peakness. You had Matt Lanter voicing Anakin Skywalker, and then you have James Arnold Taylor, JAT, voicing Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then you have Ashley Eckstein, who voiced Ahsoka Tano, among many others. You have freaking Corey Burton as Count Dooku, which is very, very good. Then you had Ian Abercrombie, rest in peace, good sir, who is the voice actor for Chancellor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious. What else? Who else? Then you had, over the course of the show, the voice actors changed specifically for Darth Sidious / Palpatine from Ian Abercrombie. Then it switched to Tim Curry. Then from Tim Curry, you had the actual voice actor for Darth Sidious, which is Ian McDiarmid. And yeah, what can I say? The voice acting of the show is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Fourth is we have a perfect but somber ending to the show. So for those of you who are unaware, the ending of the show, Star Wars The Clone Wars, sees everybody getting absolutely destroyed during the execution of Order 66. The execution of Order 66 absolutely annihilated every single Jedi in the galaxy. And we get to see that in its frightening form during the show, more specifically during the last 3 episodes of the series, which started from Season 7, Episode 9, Old Friends Not Forgotten, up until the finale of the series, which is Season 7, Episode 12, Victory and Death. It spanned 3 episodes, starting with Old Friends Not Forgotten, then it moved to The Phantom Apprentice, then Shattered, and finally Victory and Death. It is a perfect ending to the show, but a somber one. Somber meaning sad, depressing, but it had to happen because of the fact that Order 66 absolutely happened, and it demoralized the galaxy, knowing that the Jedi who were once peacekeepers suddenly turned on their own Chancellor. What did you expect? What did you expect the known galaxy to react, right? Like, seriously. The fifth one is the return of some badass characters, one of which I mentioned here in the PowerPoint is Darth Maul. Yes, Darth Maul made an appearance in this very show. Oh yeah, very good execution on their part. Darth Maul's reappearance happened during, it was first mentioned in Season 3, then the full reappearance of Darth Maul happened in Season 4, and then Season 5, we get to see him form a collective of the most notorious bounty hunter syndicates in the known galaxy, which include the Mandalorian splinter group known as Death Watch. Then you had the Pike Syndicate. Then you had the Black Sun Syndicate, or what remains of it, that is. And some other criminal elements, including the Hutts. More specifically, Jabba the Hutt, and other members of the Hutt ruling council joined up with Darth Maul and his quote-unquote brother, Savage Opress. Very good voice acting, by the way, by both Sam Witwer and Clancy Brown, who voiced both of those characters. And then finally, obviously enough, 7 well-written seasons, which started from Star Wars Season 1 all the way to Star Wars Season 7. Star Wars started in 2010, but you had a very good movie to introduce the viewers to Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and even Count Dooku. Very good introduction to the cast. And funnily enough, the Star Wars movie, specifically the Clone Wars iteration, Count Dooku was voiced by freaking Sir Christopher Lee. Can you imagine that? Now, for those who are not aware, Sir Christopher Lee was the voice actor and the actor in general for Count Dooku. Surprised? Coincidence? I think not, because Count Dooku is one of the most iconic villains in all of media, and the fact he is acted and voiced by the same man who portrayed freaking Saruman in The Lord of the Rings is absolute peak. It's an absolute joy to watch, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, let's go ahead and move on to Star Wars Rebels. What is Star Wars Rebels? We already discussed Star Wars Clone Wars. Now let's move on to Star Wars Rebels. What is Star Wars Rebels? Star Wars Rebels takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith, wherein the Empire is the dominant power in the galaxy after the execution of Order 66. Obviously, that happened not only during the movies, but also in the previous show, Star Wars Clone Wars. And after, Chancellor Palpatine ascended to the throne of the Senate to become the Emperor, and is now known by his Sith name, Darth Sidious. And it features a slew of new characters, recurring characters, and new enemies to fight, which include the following. We have the Ghost Crew, which include Hera Syndulla, Zeb Aurelius, Kanan Jarrus, and Ezra Bridger. Kanan Jarrus was first introduced in Star Wars Clone Wars, or should say Star Wars The Bad Batch, as the Padawan of former Jedi Master Depa Billaba. And then you have Hera, Zeb, and Ezra. Obviously, Ezra is a survivor of Order 66, as well as Kanan, which I can understand. Number 2, you have the return of Ahsoka Tano during Season 2, I believe. Then you have Gar Saxon, which, those of you who don't know, Gar Saxon is the Mandalorian commando that took over Mandalore after the Empire, after the Republic became the Empire. He is one of the Mandalorian super commandos that came with Darth Maul during his occupation to the planet, but then after the execution of Order 66, Gar Saxon became the new leader of Mandalore, and he took the Darksaber from Darth Maul, if I'm remembering it correctly. Excuse me. Then you have Darth Vader, the former Anakin Skywalker, obviously one of the main villains during this time period of the Empire's rule, tyrannical reign over the galaxy. Then you have Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is a very good villain, by the way, by the beginning of Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. Obviously, you have the return of the clones, during, I believe, the middle part of Seasons 1 and 2 of Star Wars Rebels. Then finally, you have Bo-Katan's return to the series, still voiced by the legendary Katie Sackhoff during, I believe, season 2, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's Star Wars Rebels in a nutshell. God, I love this series. Alright, now, let's go ahead and discuss what made this show so peak. We have 6 of them. First is the animation is decent, even though people gave it so much flack. Yes, I have to agree that even though the animation is rough around the edges, the show itself is so good in its animation. And going hand in hand with that, the story is riveting. It is compelling. It is a story of how the Rebel Alliance came to be in this iteration of the story. I love it. And third point I made here is the duel between Ahsoka and Vader was and still is heart-wrenching. Obviously, if you have watched Star Wars Rebels, you know exactly what I am referring to. It is during the final 2-episode duel of season 2 of Star Wars Rebels, wherein Darth Vader, the former Anakin Skywalker, faced off with his former apprentice, Ahsoka Tano. It was hard to watch. It was a very good two-parter, and I like it. Fourth is the battles were decisive. The fights were very tooth and nail to go hand in hand with that. And the final battle was epic, and it led to continuation during the live action iteration. What do I mean by those things? Well, every battle in Star Wars Rebels felt like it basically had a little bit of edge to it. What do you mean by a little bit of edge? It was do or die. It was basically the fight to the very last man, the very last soldier, the very last stormtrooper. It was epic. It was an epic display of resilience, an epic display of power, and I like the show so much because of that. The final battle obviously was epic. If you've watched that, go check it out. I have to rewatch that myself. Oh boy, I like the ending. I like the fact that the show writers went down that route. And if you don't know, this final battle in Star Wars Rebels was actually referenced in the Ahsoka, I believe, live action television show, which we are going to discuss soon. So don't worry, stick around for that. I will take down some copious notes for the live action Star Wars shows, the ones that I remember, of course, and those include The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. So keep a lookout for that. Now, having all of these ideas said, what are my overall thoughts on the shows? Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Well, I did already mention that at the beginning of the stream and the beginning of the video, but let me go ahead and reiterate that again. Both shows are absolute perfection. 10 out of 10 would recommend for everyone to watch. And I would have to agree with that, because the fact that we get 2 Star Wars shows and 2 animated ones of that is a godsend. It was a blessing that we got those 2 shows not only greenlit, but also seen to its full completion, and I absolutely love that. Yes, even though there are some cancellations, especially during the production of Star Wars The Clone Wars, it was still worth the wait. It was still worth the wait, and oh boy, the amount of memories that everybody, including myself, have with the show, it cannot be replaced. It cannot be replicated. But I must warn you, it's not a kid's show, despite the cartoonish animation, because the story gets dark real quick. Yes, you heard me right. The story gets dark real quick because of the fact that, yes, you're dealing with a situation of very dark proportions. It is crazy. And the final one is the themes within the show are dark as hell, but it is so worth it. Yeah, like I said, I love this show. Thank God I had to rewatch this show. Because the show, even though it's dark, it's so worth it. It's so worth it to rewatch. It's so worth it to revisit again. And I highly recommend you guys to go ahead and rewatch this timeless peak of a show, because it absolutely deserves it. So, that is Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels in a nutshell, and that is the first official episode of the series, What Made a Show Special. So I thank you guys for watching the first episode of the show. If you did enjoy, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't hesitate to drop a like down below, show some love to the like button down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done so already. It is free, and free is good. If you're watching this on Twitch, thank you so much for stopping by. Don't hesitate to drop a follow down below, because that is free, and free is good. That's all I have for now. If you want to support the channel, I would highly appreciate that. Link to everything will be down below in the description, alright? That's all I have now. So until next time, Storyfuel Squad, this is Senor from the Storyfuel Podcast, saying goodbye, and good night. Bye! See you all next time.